So this is my Definitive Technology CS9080. This is a three-way center channel speaker, and it currently retails at about $1,100. I would say that this is a very good center channel speaker. I wanted to, before this I had an older Definitive Technology center that was completely passive. It still had like passive radiators on top, but it didn't have a built-in amp and a subwoofer just like this one. But you know, and it worked okay. It was actually just fine. I always felt that these speakers, that center was a little unbalanced compared to my big Definitive Technology towers. So I wanted to get something that was closer in spec. So I found this one for $500 refurbished on, I believe, in Accessories for Less, and I picked it up and loved it ever since. I had a little bit of trouble with the amp. I actually did post a video about that. I had to replace the amp. Took a while to get here. Long story. I go into more detail in the video, but now it's working great with the new amp. I just wanted to kind of like see if the Jamo 81 CEN could keep up with this guy and give me an enjoyable experience within my home theater. So this is my review of the Jamo 81 CEN. It's a home theater center channel speaker. This is the walnut color. It's a two-way design, which consists of two 4-inch mid-bass drivers, which are kind of like a silver color, and a 1-inch soft dome tweeter. This is a very inexpensive center channel. I actually bought this. This center channel came with the home cinema pack that I purchased. It came with a pair of S809 tower speakers and a set of the S801 bookshelf speakers. I mean, it's a pretty simple design. It's a pretty compact center channel speaker compared to what I usually have here, which is a pretty big center channel speaker with the Deftex 9080 CS. You know, as far as design goes, it's got like these two little feet down here. They almost makes it look like a console table from like the, maybe I'm going to say 60s, maybe 50s. It's got that mid-century modern vibe going for it, so if you like that kind of look, then you're going to love this speaker. As far as aesthetics goes, this is my least favorite speaker out of the Jamo speakers I recently reviewed, including, the 809 towers and the 801 bookshelves. I just don't like I'm just not a fan. It's just not my thing. I like a more traditional styled speaker. This has it's taller in the back. So you kind of have this, I don't know if they did it for, acoustical purposes or just to give it some kind of different, more different look, but it's just, I'm not the biggest fan. The fact that it was taller in the back didn't allow me to put it in one of my, another one of my media cabinets, so I had to actually place it on top of it, which would block the television. The speaker's got some binding posts in the back. It's ported here in the back as well. It's got some hardware to hang it on the wall if you want. Jamo rates its frequency response at 71 Hz to 26 kHz, which I think is consistent with what I measured in my room. In fact, that it might be a little conservative. We'll go on that in a little more detail in the measurement portion of the video. As far as amplification needs, I feel like this speaker is rated at 86 decibels. It's not a very efficient speaker. When I had it set up in this room, I had to boost the center channel level to almost 10 dB over what my normal speaker is set at, in order to get the same amount of volume for the dialogue to come out clearly. So that's something to keep in mind. This speaker is not the easiest to drive, so you're going to need appropriate amplification for it. The fact that it's so inexpensive, that it was actually thrown in my home cinema pack, $400 for for 5 speakers is incredible. I mean, it's hard to complain when you're paying that much. The speaker's currently going for, it's actually on sale. It's the cheapest I've seen it. If you just buy it by itself, it's $99. Given the price, the performance that you're getting for it, it's solid. Would I have it in my room? Probably not. I'm kind of used to center channel speaker. I have a center channel speaker that's used to retail for about $1,500. I have another one in my rec room that's about $1,200. It's the Golden Ear Super Center XL. Great center channel speaker, by the way. But this one, it does the job. So I'm going to talk about the grill for a sec. It's one of my favorite things about these new Jamo speakers I've reviewed recently. It's the magnetic grill. It doesn't get much easier than that. And similarly to the S801 and the S809s, it actually takes a little bit of force to pull it out. And it's a good solution. I kind of like the look of it with the grill on, but it does look cool. It does have a nice clean look without any holes in the front, which is nice. And yeah, I really like this grill from Jamo. I put some scenes on, like I put a scene on from Pulp Fiction. I believe it was the scene where Jules is giving his speech before he's about to have the hit on the guy that has the suitcase from Marcellus Wallace, and he's giving his speech. And I did notice that the speech came out pretty clearly after I adjusted the level, but it wasn't. I don't know, there was something missing to it. I don't know. It just wasn't. It was fine. That's all I'm gonna say. It was adequate, and it'll get the job done. And if it comes with your home cinema pack, you're gonna be fine. It's gonna do a really good job. Then I put on like an action movie, like a superhero movie. I think it was the Snyder Cut. And when the speaker doesn't have to stand on its own, like let's say that scene from Pulp Fiction, there was a lot of dialogue, so it was kind of like picking up 90% of the entire scene. When everything's spread out between all the speakers, and it's just kind of hanging out a little, it's kind of buried in the mix with all the other speakers going on in the room, it's a lot better. It blended quite nicely, and I thought it did really well. So I think this speaker does really well with like action movies, and if you're into action movies with a lot of effects, a lot of stuff going on all over in all your speakers, I think this speaker does well. And this is not it's not the biggest room on earth. It's not the smallest room. This is about 17 by 15. So if you have a room maybe a little smaller than this one, this is probably going to suit you just fine. I would highly recommend looking into if you're into the Jamo brand, definitely look at the 83 CEN. That's probably a better choice, given how it's like $30 more right now. And I would definitely, if I had to choose, I would definitely go with the bigger one, especially since it's always best to get the best center channel that you can, because it's such an important speaker in your home theater. So much is going on it, and I wouldn't skimp on it unless it like I said, if it came with your home cinema pack, great. It's great. Or if your budget you're really tight on money, and let's say the home cinema pack isn't available anymore and you need to buy the speaker separately, I think this is fine. It's a fine choice for the money. It's really good for the money. So I took some measurements of the Jamo 81 CEN. This is a full frequency response sweep of the 81 CEN. As you can see, it kind of, it has a pretty big valley here around 200 hertz. It has way more bass than like mid and highs. So we're getting up to a peak of like almost 81 dB at 100 hertz, and then this peak around 400 hertz is 73 dB. This is all taken at -12 on my receiver, -12 volume. So you're definitely going to want to set a crossover. Don't set this to large or full range. You definitely need to set a crossover at 80 hertz or 100 even for this speaker. One thing I noticed that there's kind of a boost in, I don't know if it's my room or anything, but I took 3 measurements from 3 different center channel speakers, and I always saw a boost in the mid-range area here. So I'm going to bring in this is my DevTech Pro Center 1000 that I just can't keep around. It's also, I don't know if this is something that's just how center channel speakers are, but they're kind of, I see it somewhat boosted, between 1000 and let's say about 300 to 1000 hertz. So, you know, that kind of makes sense. One thing to note that, which is consistent with what when I set it up, I felt like I had to keep boosting the gain, or I had to like raise the level by 10 dB on the center channel on the Jamo. It was because it's just so low volume. Like this is at this Def Tech is taken at the same volume, and it's just way louder. It does seem to have less bass, but at the same time, it's sort of less peaky. It's a flatter response. It's not like, if you look at if you follow the red line, it just goes up and it just keeps, you know, the bass keeps rising and rising and rising, like all the way up to here. But the Def Tech is just more it's more flatter. It's even. So I took one last measurement of my Definitive Technology 9080 CS. You know, again, it follows a similar pattern of having it's like boosted in the mid range a little bit. And then starting again from this, so very similarly to the other Def Tech, and it's flatter, except, you know, this has a built-in sub. It is definitely, you know, producing a lot more bass, and that is to be expected. So this is the pivotal scene in Pulp Fiction where Vince is talking to Jules and telling him about his trip abroad, and how in France you don't get a quarter pounder, you get a royale with cheese, and Jules wonders why do they call it a royale with cheese, and Vince says it's because of the metric system. All this dialogue is coming through the center channel speaker, making it arguably the most important speaker in your home theater. Here you might be getting some car noise and like you know, wind noise or whatever from your surrounds, maybe a little bit from your main channels, but your center channel is handling most of this situation here. It's the case for most movies. Characters are centered in frame, typically when they're filmed, to show emphasis on what you're trying to see. But anyway, yeah, very important speaker. So what I guess my advice for center channel speakers, you want to at least get a center channel speaker that's as good as your your main front speakers, like your left and right speakers. You want to get speakers that are at least just as good, maybe almost as good. Some people are more. I have a system upstairs where the center channel is better than the rest of the speakers because it's like a satellite based system. But my center is basically a normal size speaker similar to this one. It's actually the one that I used to have in this room. I moved it upstairs to our family room home theater. You know, a lot of people would argue that a lot of people say that the front three speakers should be identical. You know, they should just be the same. Like a lot of people would just put a third tower right in the middle behind the screen and a transparent screen, and that would be it. But obviously, I don't have a transparent screen. If I put the screen here, it would be I couldn't get a screen this big. Had I put a transparent screen and put the speakers behind here. Sometimes you just can't do that, and in my case it works just fine. I like my setup just the way it is. I actually like seeing speakers because I think they're really nice. I really like speakers, so I like to look at them. I don't like to hide them behind the screen. But if you want to have a look that's more similar to like a commercial theater, then yeah, you're going to want to hide your speakers behind the screen, or you can hide them, you know, do in-wall speakers. I'm not the biggest fan of in-wall speakers. I say only use them if your wife or your spouse does not want to see any speakers at all. Use them as a last resort, especially for your for your main 5 speakers, and maybe even your back surrounds. The only exception would be in ceiling speakers. For Atmos height speakers, I think those are fine. My final thoughts on the 81 CEN. It's a pretty stylish, kind of like throwback to mid-century modern, you know, design. It's a good solid value for $100. You know, currently going for $100. It's hard to beat, honestly. I think if you can stretch that budget to get that ES83, I think you'll be better off with that one. That would be my recommendation. And if you got this in a home cinema pack, like a speaker package, I think you're going to be fine, given that your room isn't too big and you have adequate amplification. I'm going to go ahead and recommend the Jamo S81, especially if you got it in that cinema pack. It's great. Even if you don't, it's still a really good option given the price. I think it's I think it's another solid, product from Jamo. If this is your first time watching my channel, welcome. It's good to have you. If you have any questions about this speaker or pretty much anything else related to home theater, I'm happy to answer them for you. And it really helps the channel if you like and subscribe. If you could do that, that would be awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.